All right. How you guys doing? Great. That's good. That's good. Yeah, make sure you guys sign up for winter camp. You guys excited? Yeah. Oh, you should definitely sign up and bring like 40 of your friends, right, Josiah?
I don't have any friends.
Yeah, you do. Come on. Yeah, you do. All right. Hey, well, we're going to continue our series in called, but first, there's lots of empty room. There's lots of empty space, so why don't we fill that space? Why don't you come to the front? If you guys are at the tables, come scoot up to the front. There's lots of room up in the front. No one's going to hurt you. I promise I won't. I'll try not to spit on you. I might kick you. I'd throw a pen at you? I got one, Ania. We'll see. I got one already. It's okay. All right, yeah. So there's some rows in front of you guys. Come on, scoot up. There's a row in front of you. All right. I'll stop pestering you. There's still a row in front of you guys, but you guys are lame. All right. Well, cool. Well, tonight, like I said, we're going to continue in our series called, and we've been talking about these things that we're called to. We're talking about the purposes that we're called to, right? Going through the 5 purposes, and we've been talking about them right, like house rules. Tonight's house rule or purpose is no one sits alone, and so we're going to talk about fellowship and what that is all about. All right. First, let me ask you guys: what are some things that you enjoy doing with your friends? What are some things that you guys do when you guys go and hang out with friends? What do you guys do, Ania? Going to the movie theater, yeah. What?
Eat.
Oh, eat. Yes, eat. I thought you said feet. I was going to say, what? What? What else do you do? Shopping? I don't know. Window shopping. Shopping is so boring, and I hate it, but I'm glad you enjoy it. Yeah. What else? What else do you do? Play video games. Good. Yeah. What else? Huh? Skate. All right. Skate. What else? What are some of you guys do lots of things with friends? What are some things you do? Come on. Okay. Eat. We got eat. Starbucks. What else? Yeah. AJ, what do you do with your friends? That's right. Any way to get it in, right? What? Target. How many of you guys go walk around Target? That's a lot. Wow. Oh my gosh. Play video games for hours. Yeah. Well, hey, tonight though, man, I want us to talk about fellowship. Can be a lot of these things, and fellowship can be participating in things with friends. There's certain things that we do with people that would be really lame without people, right? How many of you guys have ever watched a funny movie by yourself? It's funny, like it's still funny, but it's not as fun, right? Like it's not as fun when you can like joke with each other or laugh with each other. You guys know what I'm talking about? I mean, it could go with anything, right? Like you can't really like play, what's a sport you can't play by yourself?
Soccer, tennis.
You can kind of like juggle baseball, football, archery, ping pong, tennis. You can play golf by yourself. Huh? Water polo, yeah. So there's lots of things that we need people to do, right, and to enjoy. And there's certain things that we enjoy more when we do them with people. But tonight I want us to talk about this idea of fellowship, and I want us to see that these things are fellowship, that participating in these things are fellowship, but the idea of fellowship and that no one sits alone is deeper than just like going bowling, and it's deeper than just like, I don't know, walking around Target. Fellowship is deeper than that. There's a deeper level to what fellowship is, right? I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. How many of you guys are on teams? Sports teams? I don't know. Do you guys do video game teams? I'm trying to think of other kind of teams there are. Video game teams? Okay. Anyone else on a team? Okay. When you guys do better on a team when you act as a team, right? Like a team does better when they act like a team. No? Yes, they do. When I was in high school, I told you guys I played water polo. Well, There were definitely years that we acted as a team, and there were years that we didn't. And the years, so I played water polo at Central, which if you know anything about water polo at Central, that means we lost every time, so, right? So that means we sucked, okay? And that doesn't mean that every team has sucked, but that just means that we did, okay? And so every time that I was on. Anyway, so there were years that we acted as a team, though, and when we acted as a team, it didn't matter if we won or lost because we were a team. And honestly, we just got used to losing because we did it every time. But we sucked. We were terrible, but we sucked together, right? And there's a difference. And yeah, it's funny, but there's a difference between doing it as a team and doing it alone. And I want us to see that tonight. We need relationship, and I'm convinced that God has shaped us and made us in a way that we need people. And we've talked about how we need a relationship with God, we need a relationship with Jesus, but we also need a relationship with people. And a lot of us choose not to do this. In fact, I've heard a lot of people recently, I don't think any of you guys, but I've heard people talk about, man, I don't need to go to church. I can just do this on my own, right? Like I've heard people say, like, I can just have church like in my own room at my house. And the reality is that's not church. Church is the people and being together. You might be able to follow Jesus by yourself for a little bit, gosh, but it's so much more fun and rewarding, and it's so much better when you can do it with people and have people with you. All right, so I want us to understand that tonight that fellowship, this is what fellowship is about, that it's deeper than just doing these things together, but it's growing together and learning together and being together. In the early church, there's this passage in Acts 2 that we're going to look at, and the early church was really good at this. And so I want us to read this. It's in Acts 2, Acts chapter 2, verses 42 to 47. And we're going to read these verses and see what this fellowship looked like and how because they lived in this fellowship, it helped them succeed in becoming followers of Jesus. Okay, so let's look at this. Acts chapter 2. It's on the screen. It's on your outline. It says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to the fellowship. But before we keep going, I want you to circle that word devoted. Circle that word devoted. So it says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and signs were being performed through the apostles. Now all the believers were together and held all things in common. They sold their possessions and property and distributed the proceeds to all as any had need. Every day, they what? Every day they what? Devoted, circle that word. Every day they devoted themselves to meeting together in the temple and broke bread from house to house. They ate their food with joyful and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. Every day the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. I had you circle two words. What was that word? Devoted. They devoted themselves. Right? This word shows up twice. Does this group of people sound like a group of people who they just go somewhere, they sit, and they watch some things happen on a stage, and then they leave? Is that what it sounds like they're doing? Does that what it sounds like is happening right here? No. They were people that, they didn't just care about doing a service. They cared about being together. Right? They were more concerned about belonging than they were about attending. They didn't care about like the things that happen and the to-do lists, but they wanted to be together. And they devoted themselves to being together. They took the opportunities and devoted themselves to belong. And so this first point that you can write in is that you are called to belong. You are called to belong. Guys, this is what the early church was all about. This is what we see in this passage, right? And what we just read. It says that they cared for each other. They sold their things that they had so they could care for each other. They broke bread together. They ate together. They made time. Even if they didn't have time, they made time and devoted that time to being together, to belonging. Our call to belong is more what church is about than just coming and sitting and attending. Man, it says that they did this every day. Man, I really think that a lot of us fail because we don't see this place, right? Like our small group, the church, and we don't see fellowship as something that we need, right? Instead we just see it as that's something else to do. I got to go to church because I do it every week. I got to go to small group because that's just what we do. Man, but it's not just something we do. It's something that we belong to. It's a place that you belong. Man, it's a place to belong, not just a thing to do. In Ephesians 2, it says this. Ephesians 2 says this, "Now you are no longer strangers to God and foreigners to heaven, but you are members of God's very own family, citizens of God's country." And it says, "What? And you belong in God's household with every other Christian." I want you to circle those words, you belong. Guys, you belong. You can take this verse to heart. Man, guys, I was telling some of the leaders that I was sitting like at Starbucks today thinking about this and looking at this and reflecting on this, and I read this verse, and I didn't tell them this, but I'll tell you now. I read this verse, and I was just sitting there, man, I started reading, and I just read, "You're no longer strangers, no longer foreigners. You're members of God's family. You belong." And guys, I don't get this way often, but man, I really just started feeling heavy. And I honestly, like tears were coming. Because I just felt like, oh my gosh, how many people, how many of us don't understand this idea that you belong? Gosh, how many of us are searching for a place to belong? How many of us come every single week searching for a place to belong? And you belong here. You belong in God's family. Man, maybe you're that person searching in unhealthy places and unhealthy relationships and things, looking for a place to belong and people to be with. Man, maybe you walked in here for the first time, not knowing anyone. Maybe you walked in feeling lonely. Like I don't know anybody. Or maybe you've got a big group of friends and you've been to the big parties and you've got a big small group and you've got lots of friends, but you still feel lonely. And maybe you felt that before. Guys, can I just tell you something? Ignore everything. You can ignore everything I'm going to say tonight. I don't even care, but I want you to hear this. You belong here. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. I don't care if this is your first time or your 200th time. And this is a place that you belong. And I want you guys to leave knowing that you don't have to be lonely anymore. Because God says you belong here. You're no longer strangers and foreigners, but you're citizens of God's country. You belong in God's family. And he says, come. I'm convinced that, gosh, if the enemy can't make us sin and can't make us bad, he's going to make us lonely. And we need people, we need fellowship to fight this. Guys, if this is how you felt or you feel coming in, can I just encourage you and challenge you? Man, if you feel alone, if you feel lonely, if you feel like you don't know anyone, man, say something tonight. Take a step out of that and step into fellowship, into a place where you do belong. Come and talk to one of your leaders. Guys, we're here for you. We care about you. Man, come talk to me. I don't care who you talk to, but just come and say something. Because I want you guys to know that this is a place that you belong. That we care about you. This is what fellowship is. Like we said, it's the fun things. It's the bowling and the rock climbing and doing things together. But fellowship is deeper. It's belonging. Fellowship is belonging. In Hebrews it says this. Hebrews 10. It says, "And let us watch out for one another, to provoke love and good works, not neglecting to gather together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging each other, and all the more as you see the day approaching." Guys, fellowship is bringing out love and good works in each other. This is what like small groups are for, right? This is why we do small groups. This is why we push you guys to be in a small group. This is why you go and go off into your group every single Wednesday night. Man, don't take advantage of that. It says not neglecting to gather together, right? As many people tend to do. Lots of us are stuck here. We're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'll just miss tonight. Oh, it's whatever. And it says encouraging one another. Well, how different would your small group be if you noticed that, if you took it upon yourself and you noticed that person wasn't here tonight, that you know, that person in my small group, that they haven't been here for a few weeks, we've missed them, you know, maybe they just weren't here for one night. Well, how different would your group be if you just took it upon yourself to say, I'm just going to text them. Send them a quick text and just say, hey, I'm sure you're busy, but we missed you tonight. Hope you're having a good night. Gosh, how do you think that would make someone feel? Wouldn't that make, if that was you, wouldn't that make you feel like you belong to people? That you belong to a place? This isn't just something that you like come and do, but it's a place to belong. And maybe they just got practice or a game or something, and it's not a big deal, but at least they know that they are cared for. So how can you encourage one another? How can you look to challenge one another? Being there when life is hard. Guys, this is the beauty of fellowship. And it's something that God has created you for. Fellowship is a gift. That's your next point. Fellowship is a gift. Fellowship is a gift. Guys, there's been a lot of times in my life where I've seen fellowship be a gift, where I've experienced the fellowship of people, and I've gotten to understand how much it's needed and how it really is a gift from God. But if I'm being honest, there's also been times where, honestly, I've felt lonely. Man, I've felt lonely for a lot of my life. Growing up, I like searched for places where I could belong. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. There were times that I did whatever I could to just find a place to belong. I played sports, right? Like I joined the wrestling team, and I sucked, so I didn't belong there. Right? I tried basketball and baseball. At one point I was going to try football, but I was too afraid because I was going to get like my neck broken or something because I was tiny. Right? Like I tried whatever I could to find a place to belong. I tried to belong in relationships with people, in social media. How many of us try to belong there? Gosh, and I searched for a place. I was just like you. I sat in services. I went to small group. I served on Sundays. I went to service on Sundays. I was plugged in. Man, but I was searching for a place to belong somewhere else. And I had a group, a small group. I had a group of guys that I could have chosen to belong to. And instead, I chose to search other places. And can I just tell you, that only left me more lonely than I started. And because of that, I missed out. Honestly, guys, I missed out on the opportunity to grow in a small group. There were small groups and there were leaders that I grew with and I learned from, and I definitely leaned into that. But I missed out on having people my age to grow with. I really did. So I'm challenging you and encouraging you. Don't be like me. Guys, don't search for places to belong somewhere else. You belong here. This is why you're in a small group. This is why we have small group. And I'm convinced that a lot of us are here and we're feeling that. You know, our culture, our culture today, prides itself. Like our culture is like, you know what? We're good at this. We're good at connecting people, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? Like Facebook, you guys know what Facebook's motto is? Facebook's motto is bringing the world closer together. So like social media and like all these things, like they're like, oh no, we're bringing people together. We're connecting people, like this is our goal. And so our culture is like, yeah, we're going to bring people together. But the reality is that if you look at actually what's happening, we're more lonely than we've ever been. You look at the devastating things that are happening, we're more lonely than we've ever been because of these things. And I'm convinced that it's because we no longer see fellowship as a gift. It's just something to do. We stop seeing it as a gift from God. It's just, I'm going to go hang out with my friends, because that's what we do. It's no longer a gift. It's a screen, right? Screen, a FaceTime screen. It's a tweet. It's a Instagram whatever, or a Snapchat streak or whatever it's called, right? Like those are the things we do now. But we miss out on the gift of fellowship. Ecclesiastes says this. This is what it looks like. 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Likewise, 2 people lying close together can keep each other warm, but how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and conquer. 3 are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. Guys, it says 2 are better than 1. You need people, and 3 is even better. The numbers don't matter. The point is that, gosh, we need people to walk with us. You need a place where you belong. And my hope is that you would see that this is a place where you can. And that this is a gift from God. Let's think about a gift for a second, okay? If I were to give you a gift, what do you have to do? If I were to come up to you and be like, hey, I got a gift for you, what do you have to do? You have to do something, right? There's an action required. What do you got to do? Take the gift, right? You have to take the gift, okay? And there's always an action required with a gift. You have to take it. You might have to unwrap it, right? If I give it to you wrapped up or in like a little fancy bag thing, right? I wouldn't do that because I don't know how to do that. I always get confused how to do like the tissue paper stuff. It just looks like crap when I do it, right? But the point is, there's always an action required, right? If it's a wrapped gift and I say to you, hey, here, I got you a gift and it's wrapped, then what do you want to do? You want to open it, right? Because you're like, well, I'm curious. I want to see what it is. I'm curious what you got me. But let's say like, hey, I got you a gift. I got you this pen. Like some of you are like, that's stupid. Why would you get me a pen? I have one sitting right next to me, right? Like that's not a gift. It's not wrapped. You're not curious about it. You're not wondering about it. You're not going to go take it. You're not going to put in the effort. You're not going to put in the work to go get it. A lot of us are stuck seeing fellowship like the pen. We don't see fellowship like a gift, like something that we have to take a step forward into. And there's always work required with a gift. And so it's going to take work to walk in fellowship. But when we start seeing it as a gift, when we start seeing it as something that, gosh, this is good and I need it, then we can't help but take that step. Might be uncomfortable and we have to be open and honest and vulnerable, but we want it because we know we need it. And it's a gift from God. Guys, I told you that I lived a lot of my life feeling lonely, looking for a place to belong. And to be honest, it took me a long time. It took me a long time to see this come true, to understand and see that fellowship really is a gift. To be honest, I really didn't even recognize how much the gift of fellowship, how much it was a gift, and how good it was until something like really painful happened. It wasn't until my dad passed away that I actually saw how much I needed people. And you probably heard me talk about this before, so I'm sorry, but this is just part of my story. That guys, when my dad passed away, there were people in our house all week long, friends, family. They didn't let us walk away in loneliness. And can I just tell you that, man, I would not be up here today. I would not be the same person if I didn't have those people walking with me. And so I got to see that fellowship really is a gift. That two really are better than one. That when one's down, they can pick them up and walk alongside. Man, don't let something painful and hard and difficult have to happen for you to see that. Choose to look at fellowship as a gift from God, as something good that you can pursue. That even when it's hard, you can walk with people. Guys, each of you has a place to belong. Each of you has people, just like I did. And even if this is your first time, even if you've never been here before, you have people. You can still belong here. I want you to know this. I want you to leave just knowing this. If you leave knowing nothing else, I want you to know this. And I've said it, I don't know how many times tonight. We could probably count 1,000,000. You belong. You belong. You belong. You are called to belong in God's family. And then 2, I want us to think about, take a serious look. Do you see fellowship and belonging? Do you see it as a gift? Do you take it seriously? Are you devoted to it like the early church was? Are you devoted to fellowship? Man, know tonight that you don't have to leave feeling lonely. That this is a place where you can belong. All right, let's pray. God, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for this idea that we belong in your family. God, that you love us and accept us and invite us to be a part of your family. No matter who we are, no matter what we've done. God, thank you. Thank you for what you've done for us so that we can belong. I pray tonight that you'd stir in our hearts something new, that you would challenge us to take the steps necessary to walk in fellowship, to see it as a gift, as something that we need. God, would we leave tonight knowing that we belong, that we don't have to be lonely anymore? Challenge us, Jesus. Help us to follow you in all that we're doing. We love you in your name. Amen.